There's an energy pulsing through you right now, an ancestral, primal force that modern society has twisted into your greatest weakness when it could be your greatest strength. Do you feel it? That fire burning quietly in your gut, that electric current running up your spine when desire awakens. This energy has a name, and Napoleon Hill called it sexual energy, the most powerful of all human motivating forces. But here's the question that will strip your soul bare. Are you the master of this force or its slave? With every unnecessary ejaculation, you pour into the void the essence that could build empires. With every compulsive orgasm, you spill the fuel that could power your will, your determination, your personal magnetism. Society has conditioned you to believe this release is normal, healthy, necessary. Lie. That's the great lie that keeps men weak, scattered, purposeless, while you waste your seed. Other men, those who have discovered the age-old secret of sexual transmutation, are building fortunes, conquering territories, magnetizing opportunities. Have you ever wondered why history's great leaders, the visionaries, the conquerors, had a different glint in their eyes, why they emanated a magnetic presence that bent to the will of others? The answer lies in the energy circulating through your testicles right now. This energy isn't just biological, it's spiritual, it's creative, it's the very life force concentrated in its purest form. And you've been throwing this force in the trash day after day, believing you're relaxing or relieving yourself. Compulsive masturbation isn't just a harmless habit. It's an escape from the responsibility of becoming who you truly can be. When you surrender to momentary pleasure, you're running away from the discomfort of building something bigger. You're trading greatness for mediocrity, power for weakness, creation for destruction. Every unnecessary ejaculation is a declaration to the universe. You choose the easy path over the extraordinary. Napoleon Hill discovered that the most financially successful men rarely dissipated their sexual energy frivolously. They understood something that modern society has forgotten. Sexual energy is the energy of creation. It's the same force that creates life within the female womb that, when redirected, can create companies, works of art, scientific discoveries, social movements. But this discovery comes at a price: self-mastery. Observe your mind right now. As you hear these words, a part of you is resisting. This is too extreme, whispers the voice of mediocrity. A little pleasure won't hurt, argues the wounded ego. This resistance isn't yours. It's the social programming that keeps you small. It's the system that needs weak, dependent men, lacking willpower. Men who spend their vital energy on pixels, on a screen, on empty fantasies, on pleasures that last seconds and leave a void that lasts for hours. Seminal retention isn't about repression. It's about sublimation. It's not about denying your masculine nature. It's about elevating it. When you retain your vital essence, something alchemic happens in your body and your psyche. The energy that would normally be expelled outwards begins to circulate internally. It raises up the spine, fuels the brain, awakens dormant centers of consciousness. You're not simply avoiding ejaculation. You're forging a new version of yourself. In the early days of this journey, you'll feel the fire burn more intensely. Your libido won't disappear. It will intensify. And this is where most men fail. They feel the pressure and rush to the nearest escape valve. But you're not like most. You understand that this fire isn't your enemy. It's your fuel. Every wave of desire you don't impulsively dissipate transforms into determination, focus, magnetism. Think of history's great men. Tesla, who channeled his sexual energy into inventions that changed the world. Da Vinci, whose artistic genius is sprung from the same source that other men wasted on fleeting pleasures. Gandhi, whose moral strength partially derived from his mastery over base impulses. They discovered the secret you're discovering now. Sexual energy is creative energy in its purest state. But this transformation doesn't happen overnight. It's an alchemic process that requires patience, discipline, and above all, understanding of what's really happening. In the first 7 days, you'll feel a growing restlessness. Your body, accustomed to easy release, will begin to question this new direction. This is where most give up. They interpret this restlessness as unnecessary suffering, when in reality it's the awakening of a dormant force. Between the 7th and 14th days, something extraordinary begins to happen. The retained energy begins to redistribute throughout your system. You'll notice you wake up with more energy, your mind is clearer, your words carry more weight. It's not imagination, it's internal alchemy. The essence you normally wasted is being recycled by your body, nourishing tissues, strengthening organs, enhancing brain function. After 3 weeks, you'll begin to experience what Napoleon Hill called sexual transmutation. The energy that was previously directed exclusively to genital pleasure now irrigates your entire being. Your presence in a room becomes more magnetic. Your ideas flow more easily. Your ability to persuade multiplies. You're not just retaining semen, you're distilling power. It's important to understand that we're talking about an ancient science disguised as a spiritual practice. Tantric masters discovered thousands of years ago that sexual energy, when not dissipated, can be directed to awaken higher states of consciousness. Medieval alchemists encoded this knowledge in symbols and metaphors, speaking of the transmutation of lead into gold, an allegory for the transformation of raw sexual energy into refined spiritual power. If you've made it this far on this journey of self-discovery, it's because something inside you recognizes the truth of these words. Something in your soul is tired of mediocrity, of waste, of weakness disguised as normalcy. If this message is resonating within you, if you feel these words are awakening a dormant power inside, then do one thing for your future self. Subscribe to this channel now and turn on notifications. Why? Because you're about to embark on the most transformative journey of your life, and you'll need guides, maps, fellow travelers who understand what you're going through. This isn't just another channel. It's a men's transformation lab, a place where ordinary men discover their extraordinary potential. Your life is about to change radically, and you won't want to miss a single step of this evolution. Click subscribe now, because the man you'll be in 3 months will thank you for the rest of his life. Now, back to our exploration. After a month of practicing conscious retention, you'll begin to understand why this practice was guarded as a sacred secret by ancient mystical schools. The retained energy doesn't just strengthen your physical body, it awakens dormant psychic abilities. Your intuition sharpens. You begin to notice patterns that previously went unnoticed. Opportunities arise as if the universe is conspiring in your favor. It's not magic. It's magnetism. You become a magnet for what you desire because your energy is no longer being dissipated randomly. But here's the paradox that confuses many beginners. The more you retain, the more intense the desire becomes. This isn't a flaw in the system. It's the system working perfectly. Nature increases the pressure to test your resolve. Each wave of desire you ride without surrendering strengthens your willpower. It's like training a muscle. Resistance builds strength. During these intense waves of sexual energy, you have a crucial choice. You can channel that energy downwards, through ejaculation, wasting it in a moment of pleasure that lasts seconds, or you can direct it upwards through your spine, fueling your brain, your heart, your creativity. This is the difference between being an ordinary man and being a man of power. The ordinary man chooses momentary relief. The man of power chooses the accumulation of strength. 3 months of dedicated practice produces transformations that other men take years to achieve through other methods. Your voice gains natural authority. Your eyes shine with an intensity that people notice but can't explain. Your presence in a business meeting, on a romantic date, in any social situation, carries a different weight. You're not just occupying a space, you're radiating energy. But the real magic happens on the subtlest level. When you master your sexual energy, you master the most primal force within you. If you can control the most basic, most urgent, most imperative impulse of human nature, what other challenge can truly defeat you? The discipline you develop through semen retention transferred to every area of your life. Procrastination? You've developed willpower muscles that make procrastination irrelevant. Fear of making difficult decisions? You've already made the most difficult decision of all, denying immediate gratification in favor of long-term power. Herein lies the secret that the ancient masters guarded. Sexual energy is life force energy in its most concentrated form. When you retain and refine it, you're not just preserving semen, you're accumulating vital force. This vital force manifests as charisma, as personal magnetism, as the ability to influence and lead. It's no coincidence that great spiritual leaders practiced celibacy. They understood that transmuted sexual energy becomes spiritual power. Napoleon Hill observed it. The most financially successful men shared one characteristic: they didn't waste their sexual energy frivolously. They may have had active sex lives, but always within contexts of deep love, never compulsively or dispersively. The energy that other men spent on empty sexual escapades, they channeled into building business empires. But let's address the shadow of this practice, because every light casts a shadow, and those who don't integrate their shadow are consumed by it. Misunderstood retention can lead to neurotic repression, spiritual arrogance, religious fanaticism. The goal isn't to deny your sexual nature, is to elevate it, is not to become a disconnected ascetic, is to become a master of life. True sexual transmutation doesn't create cold, calculating men, but passionate men who choose where to direct their passion. Retained sexual energy that isn't properly transmuted can manifest as irritability, aggression, obsession. That's why it's crucial to understand that retention without transmutation is just repression in disguise. The energy must be directed to creativity, to meaningful work, to service to the world, to deep love, to the pursuit of truth. Without this conscious direction, the accumulated energy can become destructive. This is where ancient tantric wisdom comes in. Sexual energy is sacred because it's the creative force of the universe in action through you. When you ejaculate compulsively, you're dissipating this sacred force in exchange for a few seconds of pleasure. When you retain and transmute, you're collaborating with the creative force of the cosmos to manifest something greater through your life. 6 months of dedicated practice produces an unrecognizable man. His discipline becomes legendary, his resolve, unshakable, his magnetism, undeniable. People are naturally drawn to his orbit because he radiates an energy they feel but can't name. It's the energy of life unwasted, of force undispersed, of power undiluted. The deeper game. a journey of self-mastery, but perhaps the most profound transformation occurs at the level of self-awareness. When you master the most basic impulse, you awaken to realize how many other aspects of your life are governed by unconscious drives. The food you eat, the entertainment you consume, the people you associate with, the career choices you make. All of this passes through the sieve of an awakened consciousness that has learned to discern between impulse and choice. Modern society has created a generation of men addicted to dopamine, to instant gratification, to pleasures that don't nourish the soul. Pornography, compulsive masturbation, superficial relationships, rampant consumerism. These are all manifestations of the same wound, the inability to tolerate the creative tension that precedes any meaningful achievement. Seminal retention is the antidote to this epidemic of male weakness. When you retain your vital essence, you are declaring war on mediocrity. You are choosing the extraordinary over the ordinary, power over pleasure, creation over consumption. But this war isn't fought against external enemies. It's fought on the silent terrain of your own psyche, where impulse and will clash in constant battle. 1 year of practice transforms not only you, but everything around you. Your career takes off because you have the energy to work while others are tired. Your relationships deepen because you have real presence to offer, not just sexual distraction. Your creativity explodes because the energy that would normally be wasted now fuels your imagination, your innovation, your imitation, your imitation, your imitation, your imitation, futures that others can't see. But the most radical transformation happens in your relationship with the feminine. When you are no longer a slave to your libido, you can finally relate to real women instead of projections of your sexual fantasies. You develop the capacity to truly love instead of merely desire. Your sexuality becomes an expression of deep intimacy instead of mechanical compulsion. And herein lies one of the most beautiful paradoxes of this practice. The more you retain, the more magnetic you become to the opposite sex. Women instinctively sense the difference between a man who wastes his vital energy and a man who cultivates. There is a quality to the presence of a man who practices seminal retention that is simultaneously powerful and contained, intense and controlled, passionate and disciplined. Napoleon Hill called this sexual magnetism, an indefinable quality that some men possess and that makes them irresistible, not only sexually, but in all aspects of life. This magnetism cannot be faked, cannot be bought, cannot be directly taught. It must be cultivated through the transmutation of sexual energy into personal power. 2 years of practice create something that goes beyond personal transformation. They create a catalyst for collective transformation. You become the kind of man who inspires other men to awaken to their own potential. Your mere presence challenges the mediocrity of others. You don't need to preach or convince. You simply are a living example of what's possible when a man decides to stop wasting his vital force. Modern science is beginning to validate what mystics have always known. Semen contains rare and precious nutritive elements that, when retained, are reabsorbed by the body and used to optimize bodily and brain functions. Zinc, magnesium, B vitamins, specific proteins, all of this returns to the system when not wasted, contributing to greater physical energy, mental clarity, and emotional stability. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. The true transformation happens at the subtle energetic level. Advanced practitioners of seminal retention report mystical experiences, expansions of consciousness, heightened intuitive perceptions, and an increased ability to manifest their desires in physical reality. Not because retention is magic in itself, but because it frees energy that would normally be wasted to be used at higher levels of human functioning. 3 years of practice produces something that few men in the modern world possess: genuine self-mastery. You are no longer a hostage to your impulses. You don't make important decisions when you're aroused, angry, or under the influence of any reactive emotional state. You have developed the rare ability to consciously respond instead of impulsively react. This is true masculine power, not the ability to dominate others, but the ability to dominate oneself. And with this self-mastery comes a responsibility to use your power to uplift, not to destroy, to build, not to conquer, to serve, not to dominate. The man who has mastered his sexual energy and transmuted it into personal power has a responsibility to use that power for the greater good. Otherwise, it simply becomes another sophisticated predator. The journey of seminal retention is simultaneously the loneliest and most connective journey a man can undertake. Lonely because few will understand your choice, and you will frequently feel isolated in a world that celebrates instant gratification. Connective because, by cultivating your vital energy, you develop the ability to connect deeply with other human beings, with nature, with the cosmos, with the divine in all its manifestations. But perhaps the most precious reward of this practice is the discovery of who you truly are when you're not constantly draining your vital energy. You discover reserves of strength you didn't know you possessed. You discover a mental clarity you thought was impossible. You discover an emotional stability that transforms your relationship with all of life's challenges. You discover a creativity that springs from a seemingly inexhaustible source. You discover a compassion that arises not from weakness but from strength. Modern society fears truly powerful men because powerful men are unpredictable, uncontrollable, capable of transforming realities. That's why it promotes the dissipation of masculine energy through pornography, compulsive masturbation, empty sex, and mindless entertainment. Men who waste their vital energy are weak, dependent, easily manipulated men. Men who retain and transmute their sexual energy are dangerous men to the status quo. You're about to become one of those dangerous men, dangerous to mediocrity, dangerous to conformity, dangerous to all systems that depend on weak men to function. But not dangerous through violence or destruction, dangerous through example, through excellence, through the example, through excellence, through the radiant power of a life lived to its full potential. Seminal retention isn't just about preserving bodily fluids. It's about preserving the essence of what it means to be a man in his highest expression. It's about refusing to accept the diminished version of masculinity that modern society offers. It's about awakening the spiritual warrior, the conscious creator, the natural leader that exists in potential within every man. When you compulsively ejaculated, you were voting for your own weakness. Every unnecessary orgasm was a vote of confidence in mediocrity. Every masturbation session was a declaration that you preferred momentary pleasure to lasting greatness. But now you know, now you have the key that can unlock not just you, but all the generations of men who will come after you. Because this isn't just your personal journey. It's your contribution to the restoration of sacred masculinity in a world that desperately needs real men, men who know their power and use it wisely, men who own their energy instead of being slaves to their impulses, men who create instead of just consume. The fire that burns in your loins right now isn't just sexual desire. It's the creative force of the universe asking to be expressed through you. It's life asking to be lived fully. It's your destiny asking to be fulfilled. The choice is yours. Continue wasting the sacred force on momentary pleasures, or start today to transmute it into the fuel that will build the most powerful version of yourself. The man you can become is waiting, is on the other side of your next decision to retain instead of waste, to transmute instead of dissipate, to build instead of destroy. Has been waiting for years, maybe decades, for you to finally understand the power that has always been in your hands. Now you understand. Now you know. The fuel of masculine will isn't some external force you need to seek. It's internal force you need to stop wasting. Your journey of transformation, you need to stop wasting. Your journey of transformation begins now with your next conscious choice to honor the sacred energy that pulses through your being. The universe is waiting to see what you will do with this knowledge. Don't disappoint it.